Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So I'm sure you've seen the news by now, okay, because every fan of every NFL team is talking about this potential move, but Calvin Ridley and the Atlanta Falcons could go their separate ways this offseason. And it's really interesting, okay, because Calvin Ridley, drafted back in 2018, super young player, ultra productive player. He's been consistent since he's been in the league. I mean, as a rookie, he had 10 touchdown grabs. That's crazy. 7 the year after that. In both his first and second season, he had over 800 receiving yards. And then, of course, in his third season, 2020, that was the year where he just boomed, right? Everything popped off. Yards, catches, touchdowns, over 1,300 receiving yards, 9 touchdowns, 90 receptions, just popped off. I mean, those numbers are elite when we're just looking at them in a vacuum. Calvin really had just an incredible season. So 2021 rolls around, they bring in fire Dan Quinn, bring in Arthur Smith, and for whatever reason, he only plays in 5 games, okay? His drops are starting to go up more, and then 5 games in, steps away from football. And this is kind of the elephant in the room here. Nobody really knows why he stepped away. There's a lot of hypotheticals, a lot of assumptions being thrown out there currently, but nobody has really been able to figure out exactly why Ridley left the Falcons only 5 games into the season. Now, one potential scenario is a mental health situation, okay? Now, obviously being such a young guy with a lot of money, a lot of fame, a big following, he's such a big part of that Falcons offense. Yeah, it comes with a lot of pressure. I'm sure it comes with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. It puts a lot of weight on an individual to be in a position like that. Okay, so if it is in fact a mental health situation here, I hope everything with Calvin is okay. I hope he got the help that he was looking for. I hope the break from football really did benefit him. Okay, so that's first and foremost. If it is a mental health thing, it needs to be taken seriously. It cannot be overlooked. And that goes way beyond football. Okay, so the second possible scenario here is that he just wanted out. Maybe he had a problem with a coach. Maybe he had a problem with a teammate. He just wanted out of the Falcons organization. He didn't like the future vision of the team. Maybe he didn't gel or click with Arthur Smith. Whatever the case may be, he wanted out of Atlanta. And we did see a similar thing with Julio Jones. I don't know if it's for the same exact reasons here. Again, everything with Calvin Ridley right now is just an assumption. But we did see Julio Jones end up with the Tennessee Titans this season, okay, or really last offseason. So when you take a look at Calvin Ridley as a football player and assume for a second that him and the Falcons are going to go their separate ways this offseason, they're going to find a trade partner, and he's going to be 100% ready by the time next season rolls around, I think tons of teams are going to be interested. Okay, the Raiders, I think, are going to have heavy interest. The Bears, the Patriots, the Eagles, and the New York Jets. I do believe that the Jets will and should have interest in a guy in Calvin Ridley. This guy has number one production to back it up. He has the upside, the talent to back up being a number 1 wide receiver. I think he fits the offense to a T. I look at what Calvin Ridley's good at, what his number 1 trait is as a wide receiver. It's route running. What's one of the most important things you need in the West Coast Mike LaFleur system here? Route running. Okay, so Calvin Ridley would come in, be an opposite counterpart of Corey Davis. Corey Davis gives you that red zone threat, that big bodied third down, 50-50 ball, jump ball kind of guy, where Calvin Ridley could stretch the field. He could hurt you in the short passing game, catching slants and screens. Does a really good job in that area. He could hurt you over the middle of the field off of play action, crossing patterns. You could run mesh routes with them. I mean, there's so many different ways to get Calvin Ridley the football. It's really enticing, especially when you look at it from a West Coast perspective. Now, speaking of West Coast offenses, this kind of just popped in my head here, but one team, of course, that we'd have to look out for is the Rams. The Rams try to acquire pretty much every big name talent, and considering they run a very similar system as the New York Jets, I definitely see LA being in play. But there is another bright spot of adding a guy like Calvin Ridley to this Jets locker room, okay? Not only would Calvin just bring a lot of electricity at the wide receiver position, we're upgrading there, we're giving Zach Wilson a potential number 1 guy, also entering his prime now, he's only 27 years old, but it also opens up windows for the guys on the current roster. Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios, Michael Carter out of the flat. Calvin Ridley demands attention. Okay, the Jets offense doesn't really have a lot of guys currently where defensive coordinators are just, they're up at night, they can't sleep because they're worrying about how to stop Keelan Cole or Jamison Crowder. It's just not happening, okay? But Calvin Ridley is one of those guys where he strikes fear in defensive coordinators, okay? So he just would add so much to this team. As far as trade compensation is concerned, this is where it gets a little, a little uncharted waters, I guess would be the best term for it. Because again, nobody really knows why Ridley decided to leave the Falcons all those weeks ago. So the calling teams are going to have to try to do their best to get the details on the situation. So let's say that Ridley just wants out. He just wants out of the Falcons organization. That's all there is to it. Much like a Julio Jones situation, he just doesn't want to be with the Falcons. And when we look at the report, understand that the Falcons have incentive on wanting to part ways with Ridley as well, because the headline wasn't Ridley wants out and he's going to hold out or something like that. No, it seems like both Ridley and the Falcons want this to happen. They both want a fresh start. Atlanta might want a draft asset or draft assets and Ridley wants to go with his new team. So if that's the case, I think a high second round pick will get the job done. I do believe that. The reason why I say a second round pick, and of course on social media, online, we're saying like, oh, you could go get him for a fourth round pick, you could go get him for a third round pick. The reason why I say a second is because I feel like if, again, Ridley just wants out of the Falcons organization, there will be a lot of teams knocking on the Falcons' door, offering something up. So all of a sudden, it turns into a bidding war, and a second round pick is a second round pick. That is, it's pretty. That's a nice draft asset. It's not anything to scoff at by no means. Okay. Luckily for the Jets, though, we have two. We have ours, and then of course we have the Carolina Panthers one, okay, because of the whole Sam Darnold trade that took place last offseason. So, if Joe Douglas could flip one of these second round picks for a guy in Calvin Ridley, I think it would be humongous. It would be, incredible for not only just the state of the Jets right now, but also for the future. Again, Calvin Ridley's only 27 years old, and we still have another second round pick. So it's not like we're going to be giving away this, this huge draft asset and we're going to be stranded, we have nothing. No, we still have the 2 ones. We would still have 1 second round pick, 1 third round pick, and 2 fourth round picks. So we're getting a potential number 1 wide receiver to grow with Zach Wilson, a guy who fits the system, brings a lot to the table, a true weapon, a true threat at the wide receiver spot for extra draft capital. Okay, and that is big time. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.